his interesting speech and call upon Helen to close the case for the proposition.
Listen close.
Because I got loads of bits of paper. Right. I will breathe. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Freddie very, very much for making my job of rebuttal very easy and shouting his way through a speech that even his shouting couldn't hide the disastrous counterprop and lack of content he put forward. So first of all, I'm going to start with rebuttal. I'm going to go on to my 3 areas of clash. Now, what did Proposition need to do to you today? What they need to do for you is they need to say why there was a problem with mentally ill people. They need to say why specifically that problem related to the idea of sex, procreation, children. And thirdly, why in taking away them having children, we wouldn't infringe on any rights. In line with that, my 3 areas of clash are going to be the problem with the mentally ill. Secondly, the idea of contraception, why it's the only option, and this idea of consent, which Ollie brilliantly brought out in his extension speech. And thirdly, rights, and why we're not taking any away with our motion. But first of all, on to this rebuttal, which could be extensive, but I'll try and limit it a little bit. Just to clarify for Freddie, the difference between the cost and the burden is actually quite a distinctive thing. You said on your side of the house that, you know, this pill would cost too much money, which we told you is wrong. What we are saying on this side of the house is to expect the state to monitor every individual mentally ill person to a point where it's some kind of sex police one-on-one basis, so we make sure they're not sleeping anymore. It's something that the state can't do, and furthermore shouldn't have to do, in the light of the fact we wouldn't be infringing on any rights if we gave them the pill in the first place, and that's the thing I'm going to talk about. Secondly, this idea, which is kind of a contradiction anyway, that, you know, the state has failed and the counter proposition would be that, you know, everyone was looked after. Not all mentally ill people live in homes, Freddie. That's just not the way it works. Some of them do, some of them don't. And so this idea that, you know, we should be watching them and it's the state that's failed is just a little bit silly. Thirdly, this idea that you're not going to solve the problem, you're not going to do anything, you're going to drive it underground. One, if you've got a mental age under the age of 16, we think the state might need to help you in some way. We think you might go into the state. Second of all, we are solving the problem because they won't have any children. That's the whole idea. Right, first of all, what's this problem with mentally ill people? Well, we say that these mentally ill people shouldn't really be having children because they think they have the mental faculties to do so. First proposition told you that very adequately. They said that, you know, these children from these mothers who are mentally ill under the age of 16 will be, to put it bluntly, a little bit fucked up. We have this idea for saying, well, it's not necessarily a genetic disorder. We know that. We're not saying that genetically they'll be mentally ill. We're saying that if your mother is mentally ill, she's incapable of bringing you up properly. Therefore, you are likely to have a bringing up that is sincerely affected, which means you might be a little bit crazy. We don't want that. Furthermore, other than these individual harms, there are these harms to the state. We've already told you that the adoptive system isn't perfect, it is massively draining, it is a burden on the state, and you suddenly go, oh, the adoptive system is self-sufficient is one, a lie, and two, it completely ignores the foster care that people go through first. And just finally on that, this idea that mentally ill people are really good for society, they're all like Rain Man, they're really good at poker, and they're going to be able to like solve our national debt by sending them into casinos. It's not really right. If you've got someone that is mentally under the age of 16, they're essentially retarded. We don't think they're very good for society. And if your only charge on proposition is that we're trying to get rid of them, we say, yes, we bloody well are. Right, on this idea of contraception and why contraception is the only way. Right, so we've already dealt with this idea that, you know, what we should really do is get people to monitor them one-on-one, and we told you why that's really silly, that we can't have these kind of sex police and the state shouldn't have to deal with that. No, thank you. Secondly, this idea of the pill that came up on the first half of the table, that the pill's bad and it's awful and it's really expensive, it can only come from Tony, Freddie and Anthony, who've clearly never had sex and never encountered contraception. It's all assertion, I'm not going to go into it for you, but it's really not the evil that proposition are putting out for you. Secondly, let's go on to this idea of consent, because we think this is really, really important, and this is why we have chosen the age of 16 on the proposition, because we say that as the state already recognises under the status quo, if you are under the age of 16, you are not mentally capable of bringing up a child. If you are a 40-year-old woman, I'll take you in a second, Freddie, if you are a 40-year-old woman who has the mental age of someone who's 16, you also are incapable of bringing up a child. We think that there's potential harms, I've already told you what they are, and that is why we are making them take contraception, don't you?
But Helen, we already allow girls under 16 to become mothers, don't we?
Okay, because we recognise that there's not really much else that we can do with children mothers under the age of 16, and we monitor them, and if necessary, we prosecute them because they've been having sex under the age of consent. That is why the law is there. We also think this is particularly important because we think that someone who is mentally ill can be subject to certain abusive relationships, and we think that this helps to monitor that. Right, finally onto this idea of rights, and why that our motion doesn't limit rights at all. And this is something Ollie really adequately gave you as one of his points of extension. This idea that people's relationship with society is very different when they are mentally ill, particularly when their ages their mental age is under the age of 16 because they don't have the same rights as everyone else, because they are irrational actors and they do not give the same things to the state that everyone else gives them. That means that not only are we justified in doing this from a practical level, but also we're justified from doing this on a moral level, because these people don't have the same rights that we do. They don't contribute to the state we do. And when the state becomes a stakeholder in that relationship because they are having sex under the age of consent, and the state furthermore has to carry the burden of the child that is the product of that sex under the age of consent, then we think the state absolutely has the right to intervene in that case. So what have I told you today, ladies and gentlemen? I told you that Fred doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I've also told you that mentally ill people have problems. Secondly, I've told you about why contraception is the only answer, particularly in light of the age of consent. And thirdly, I've told you why we're not harming anyone's rights. And for all those reasons, I beg you to